What happens when a young explorer stumbles upon a discovery that could redefine our understanding of a significant biblical event? In 1880, an accidental finding brought to light archaeological evidence that has since reshaped how we interpret a particular moment recorded in the Bible. But what exactly was this discovery, and how does it connect to the prophecy surrounding that event? More importantly, what does it mean for us today, and how can it shape our faith and understanding of history? The discovery was made by a 16-year-old named Jacob I. Lahu, who ventured into the mysterious Siloam Tunnel, a water passageway that had intrigued explorers for decades but remained largely unexplored. This youthful curiosity led him into the dark, uncharted depths of the tunnel. Despite the fear and uncertainty surrounding it, Jacob's bravery uncovered something that had been hidden for centuries. But why did this tunnel matter so much? And why was it feared by those who had come before him? Could there be a deeper prophecy connected to Jacob's bold exploration that aligns with biblical events foretold long ago? In general, the discovery of the Siloam Tunnel has profound implications. It not only validates historical accounts found in the Bible, but also challenges our understanding of the past. Such discoveries bridge the gap between faith and science, showing how archaeology can confirm ancient prophecies and biblical truths. Jacob's venture into the tunnel is a reminder of how uncharted paths often lead to groundbreaking revelations. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into this story and reveal more shocking details. There's much more to uncover about how Jacob's discovery relates to biblical prophecy and what it means for our understanding of history today. Keep listening, this story is just beginning to unfold. Jacob's fall into the dark, cold water wasn't the end of his journey, but the start of something far more profound. He stumbled through 6 meters of that ancient tunnel, his feet slipping on the wet, uneven ground, before collapsing once again. This second fall was heavier, jarring him to his core. Yet, as Jacob pushed himself up, the flicker of determination in his heart grew stronger. In the dim light of the flickering candle he carried, something caught his eye, a peculiar inscription etched into the stone. This was no ordinary writing, it was ancient, crafted in an 8th century Hebrew script, familiar to those who studied the old texts and knew the history of the land. In that moment, Jacob became a witness to something timeless. The tunnel, which had frightened many and deterred countless others from exploring, beckoned to him. It was a passage carved from stone, stretching deep underground, a relic from a distant past. Most saw only darkness and fear, but Jacob saw opportunity, and so he pressed on, lighting the way forward with his small candle, ready to uncover the secrets buried beneath centuries of dust and stone. The inscription detailed the digging of the tunnel, a monumental achievement of the workers who had toiled in these conditions long before Jacob's time. There was no mention of a king, no tribute to a deity, no call to divine intervention. It was simply an account of the laborers' hard work and success in completing the water conduit. For Jacob, this lack of reverence for a higher power or ruler was striking. Why would such a significant feat, especially in the 8th century BC, exclude praise for a king or a god? This absence spoke volumes about the people who built the tunnel and the purpose behind it. It wasn't about glory, it was about survival. To truly grasp the gravity of what Jacob had discovered, we must turn to history, specifically to the reign of King Hezekiah of Judah. The Bible offers us a glimpse into this era in 2 Kings 20 verse 20, stating, "And the rest of the acts of Hezekiah and all his might, and how he made a pool and a conduit and brought water into the city. Are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah?" This verse directly references the construction of the very tunnel that Jacob had now stumbled upon. It was a project born out of necessity, not vanity. King Hezekiah, knowing the imminent threat of an Assyrian siege, took the bold step to ensure that Jerusalem would not be left vulnerable to its enemies. He fortified the city's water supply, ensuring that the people could withstand the coming attack. In the political climate of the time, the importance of water was paramount. It was not just a resource but a lifeline that could mean the difference between survival and destruction during a siege. Hezekiah's tunnel was a strategic move, driven by foresight and wisdom. Unlike other rulers who might build monuments to glorify themselves, Hezekiah was focused on protecting his people, securing their future. The inscription Jacob found, detailing the workers' efforts, reflects this pragmatism. The workers were celebrated not because they were commanded by a king or deity, but because they had achieved something truly extraordinary, an engineering marvel that secured the fate of Jerusalem. But there's another layer to this story, one that brings in the prophetic and spiritual undertones often overlooked in political history. Hezekiah wasn't just acting as a king, he was fulfilling a role that prophets like Isaiah had foretold. Isaiah had warned of the coming destruction if the people of Judah did not turn back to God. Hezekiah, a devout follower of the Lord, knew that while he could not prevent the Assyrian threat, he could prepare his people both spiritually and physically. His actions constructing this water tunnel were a reflection of his deep faith, his trust that God would deliver Jerusalem if they were prepared. In many ways, Jacob's discovery in that dark, subterranean passage echoes the same principles. His journey into the unknown, guided only by a flickering candle, is a metaphor for faith. The inscription he found wasn't just a record of the workers' triumph, it was a testament to human perseverance, wisdom, and the balance between divine prophecy and political strategy. The tunnel wasn't just a feat of engineering, it was a symbol of how practical action and faith can intertwine to protect people and their future. As we look back to the 8th century BC, through Jacob's eyes and through the pages of the Bible, we see that the construction of Hezekiah's tunnel was more than just a political or practical decision. It was an act of faith, a fulfillment of prophecy, and a testament to the resilience of a people determined to survive against all odds. The inscription left by the workers is a reminder that while kings and gods may often claim the spotlight, it is the hands of ordinary people that shape history, brick by brick, tunnel by tunnel. The story of Hezekiah's reign is a powerful example of faith, resilience, and divine intervention in the face of overwhelming odds. To understand the magnitude of this event, it's important to view it in the historical context of ancient Israel. The northern kingdom of Israel had already fallen to the might of the Assyrian Empire under the leadership of Shalmaneser V and his successor, Sargon II. The southern kingdom of Judah, while spared from complete destruction, had been reduced to a vassal state, paying tribute to the Assyrian overlords to maintain a semblance of independence. This tenuous peace was upheld for a time, but it was not without a cost to the people of Judah, who yearned for true freedom. When Hezekiah ascended to the throne of Judah, he inherited a kingdom that had been subjugated by foreign powers for decades. But unlike some of his predecessors, Hezekiah had a vision rooted in his unwavering faith in God. He believed that Judah's dependence on Assyria was not only a political weakness, but a spiritual compromise. The prophet Isaiah, one of the greatest voices in Judah at the time, frequently warned against reliance on foreign alliances and the worship of foreign gods, urging the people to trust in the Lord alone. Inspired by this counsel and filled with a sense of divine purpose, Hezekiah made a bold decision: he would no longer pay tribute to Assyria. This act of defiance was not merely political, it was spiritual warfare. By refusing to submit to the Assyrians, Hezekiah was declaring that Judah's true king was not Sennacherib, but the Lord God Almighty. However, this decision came at a great cost. Hezekiah's refusal to pay tribute angered the new king of Assyria, Sennacherib, who was known for his ruthless military campaigns. Sennacherib had inherited a vast empire, and his reputation for destruction was feared throughout the ancient Near East. His destruction of Babylon, once a powerful city-state, was a stark reminder to all who dared oppose him. For Hezekiah, this act of rebellion meant one thing: war. Sennacherib swiftly moved to punish Judah for its insolence, leading one of the largest military campaigns of his reign. As the Assyrian army advanced toward Jerusalem, fear gripped the hearts of the people. The sight of the world's most feared military force marching toward their gates must have seemed like the end of Judah's independence and perhaps even its existence. The tension and uncertainty were palpable. Would God deliver them as Hezekiah had promised, or would they fall like so many other nations before them? In response to the impending threat, Hezekiah did not sit idly by. He understood that faith in God did not mean abandoning practical wisdom. He gathered his military officers and devised a strategic plan to defend Jerusalem. One of the most significant aspects of this defense was cutting off the water supply outside the city. Hezekiah and his engineers worked tirelessly to stop the flow of springs and brooks that could be accessed by the Assyrians. This was no small feat, as it required the cooperation and determination of the entire city. The construction of Hezekiah's tunnel, a marvel of ancient engineering, is still visible today as a testament to the king's foresight and the people's unified effort. By cutting off the Assyrian army's access to water, Hezekiah hoped to weaken them before they could even begin their siege. This defensive strategy demonstrates the balance between divine trust and human effort. Hezekiah did not simply wait for God's intervention, he prepared and acted wisely. Yet, despite these preparations, the fear of the Assyrians' strength lingered. Judah's army was significantly smaller, and the walls of Jerusalem, though strong, were not impenetrable. The people were filled with uncertainty, torn between hope and fear. They had seen the devastation caused by the Assyrians in other regions, and the stories of Sennacherib's brutality were well known. The atmosphere in Jerusalem was one of tension as they awaited the inevitable clash. At this point in the story, the stage is set for one of the most remarkable demonstrations of God's power in biblical history. The people of Judah, having done all they could to prepare, now had to wait on God. And in that waiting, faith is tested. Much like the Israelites at the edge of the Red Sea, surrounded by the armies of Egypt, the people of Judah found themselves in a position where only divine intervention could save them. Would God act? Or would Judah fall like the other nations that had defied the Assyrian Empire? In the end, Hezekiah's faith was rewarded in a manner that no one could have predicted. The Bible tells us that as the Assyrian army prepared to lay siege to Jerusalem, the angel of the Lord swept through their camp, striking down 185,000 soldiers in one night. 2 Kings 19 verse 35. This miraculous victory left the Assyrians in shock and forced Sennacherib to retreat to his homeland, where he was later assassinated by his own sons. Jerusalem was saved, not by the strength of its walls or the brilliance of its military strategies, but by the intervention of a faithful and powerful God. This story carries profound lessons for us today. In the face of overwhelming challenges, we are often tempted to place our trust in worldly powers, whether it be political alliances, wealth, or human wisdom. But Hezekiah's story reminds us that true deliverance comes from God alone. No matter how dire our circumstances may seem, God is able to act in ways beyond our comprehension. He is not bound by the limitations of human power or the constraints of earthly kingdoms. The victory he gives may not always come in the form we expect, but it is always perfect in its timing and its outcome. In our own lives, we may face situations that feel as impossible as the impending siege of Jerusalem. Whether it's financial hardship, health issues, or personal struggles, we often find ourselves at the end of our own resources, wondering how we will survive. But like Hezekiah, we are called to prepare wisely, trustfully, and wait expectantly on God. His power is made perfect in our weakness, and when we reach the end of ourselves, we are in the perfect position to witness his deliverance. Just as Hezekiah's decision to stop paying tribute was an act of faith, we too must be willing to step out in faith, even when it means facing opposition. And just as God delivered Judah from the hands of Sennacherib, he promises to deliver us from the enemies that threaten our peace and well-being. This story serves as a powerful reminder that no force, no matter how mighty, can stand against the plans and purposes of God. When we place our trust in Him, we can face any challenge with confidence, knowing that He is with us and will fight for us. Hezekiah's reign over Judah is not just a lesson in leadership, but also a profound testament to the power of faith and strategic wisdom when faced with overwhelming adversity. His knowledge of Jerusalem's geography and deep understanding of its vulnerabilities became a key factor in the survival of his kingdom, particularly during the time of the Assyrian invasion under King Sennacherib. Jerusalem's main weakness, its water supply, was not just a logistical concern, but a potential source of defeat during a siege. The Gihon Spring, the primary water source, was located outside the protective city walls, leaving it exposed to enemy interference. This exposure could have led to a catastrophic loss of life and security had Hezekiah not acted with foresight and determination. In many ways, Hezekiah's story mirrors the trials we face in our lives today when we confront challenges that appear beyond our control. We too must seek wisdom and divine guidance to protect the vulnerable areas of our lives. The vulnerability of Jerusalem's water supply serves as a metaphor for the personal weaknesses or hidden vulnerabilities we all carry. Like the Gihon Spring, these areas can be exploited by external pressures, whether they be financial hardships, relational conflicts, or spiritual struggles. However, just as Hezekiah devised a plan to safeguard his people, we are also called to act with discernment and faith, trusting that God will guide us through adversity. Hezekiah's solution to this seemingly insurmountable problem was nothing short of ingenious. By constructing a secret water tunnel, an impressive 533 meters long, Hezekiah ensured that his people would have access to life-sustaining water, while denying the Assyrians control over this crucial resource. This tunnel, a marvel of ancient engineering, represents not only the physical salvation of Jerusalem, but also a spiritual lesson in perseverance, preparation, and trust in God. When we face our own sieges in life, whether they are personal, professional, or spiritual, we too must build our tunnels, strategic, faith-driven plans that will sustain us even when the world seeks to conquer our most essential resources. The construction of Hezekiah's tunnel, achieved without modern technology, is a testament to human ingenuity and the spirit of collaboration in the face of great difficulty. Its lasting legacy, still standing as a significant historical and architectural achievement in the city of David, reminds us that our own efforts, when rooted in faith, can leave a lasting impact. This is not merely a story of survival, but of thriving against the odds, an example of how we can overcome our challenges through determination, wisdom, and trust in God's plan. Even today, Hezekiah's tunnel continues to inspire architects, engineers, and archaeologists, serving as a reference point for human achievement and ingenuity. More than just a physical structure, it stands as a reminder that with faith, wisdom, and perseverance, we can find solutions to the most pressing problems of our time. Just as Hezekiah saved his people through a divinely inspired plan, we too can trust that God will provide us with the tools and wisdom we need to protect and sustain the vulnerable areas of our lives.